It is a beautiful day for solving quadratic inequalities by factoring. All right, so we've got an inequality here. You notice that it is greater than 2, okay? But we also know that when we are factoring quadratics, we need to go ahead and set that equal to 0. So I'm going to get rid of that positive 2 with a negative 2. And I'm going to make sure that I set everything off to 0. So x squared plus 10x plus 16 is, in fact, greater than 0. And after we have that to 0, we're going to take this piece and we're going to factor. I'm going to do this really quickly as we have been learning this. So I'm going to take the x squared. I know that the 10x goes on the diagonal, and I know that this 16 is right here. Okay, and what we also know is that these two at the diagonal should be adding to 10x, and that will give us the two numbers that multiply to 16. So 10x, two numbers that multiply to 10x and add to 16, or add to 10x and multiply to 16 would be 2x and 8x. So 2 plus 8 is 10, 2 times 8 is 16. So we would have x plus 2 and x plus 8, if you like that area model. So we're going to take those factors and I'm going to rewrite them. So I'm going to write x plus 2, x plus 8 is greater than 0. Now, as we've learned before, binomials or factors will produce x-intercepts or zeros that are opposite of what you see in there. So plus 2 and 8 is going to create x equals -2 and x equals to -8. Those are going to be those x-intercepts. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them on a number line, -8. I'm put -2, and I'm going to go ahead and also put a 0 in there just as a reference. Now, you also remember that because there are no equals, we're going to use open circles. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to use open circles at -2, and we're going to open circle at -8. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to test our solutions to see where this is true, where it's greater than the value of 0. So where is this equation greater than the value of 0? So how we're going to do that is we're going to pick some numbers. And we're going to pick a couple that are on the outside, in between, and on the outside again. So that's what we're going to do. I like to go ahead and just start by using a number in between. That usually gives me a good indication where the answers are going to be. So let's pick the number -5. Okay. So I'll pick the number -5, and let's plug this number into the equation. So I'm going to write -5 plus 2 times -5 plus 8. And is that greater than 0? So -5 plus 2 is -3. -5 plus 8 is +3. And is that greater than 0? -3 times 3 is -9. And that is false. -9 is not greater than 0. So these answers here are false. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start picking other values. So maybe I pick 0 now. Let me pick the value of 0, and I'm going to test that out there. So I'm going to say, okay, well, let's go back. I'm going to write 0 plus 2 and 0 plus 8. 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 times 0 plus 8 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. And is that greater than 0? That is true. So out here, these are all true answers. That means that's where our answers are going to make this equation greater than 2. So I'm going to say, okay, this is all true answers. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it on the other side. Once you usually test the middle and one outside point, you usually have the solution. So maybe I pick the number -10. And let's go ahead and check that out. So I'm going to plug that into our equation. So -10 plus 2 times -10 plus 8 is greater than 0. Let's see if that's true. -10 plus 2 is -8. -10 plus 8 is -2. Is greater than 0. -8 times -2 is 16. And 16 is greater than 0. This is true as well. So that means our answers would be down here on the left as well. These are all true. So the only place where it's false is right smack dab in the middle. So our answers would be anything that is less than 8. So all the x's, so let's go ahead and write that on there. I'll do that in black. So I'll say all the x's have got to be less than -8. And then all the answers are over here have got to be greater than -2. And that's how we would use that with our intervals. So let's write that. We're going to write x's are less than -8, or the x's are greater than -2. Now, we've learned in class so far that we can use interval notation to model this. So remember, let's go ahead and rewrite this with our interval notation. Okay, so I'm going to start with saying all these x's are less than -8. So less than -8, which is way down here, says that we could go from -infinity all the way to that answer of -8. So -infinity to -8. And I'm going to use parentheses because it is not included. The or is going to be the big U. Okay. And then also we can go say that all the answers that are greater than -2, and that goes all the way up to infinity. So I would say, okay, from -2, not including because it's an open circle, all the way up to infinity would be true answers. Now we could check this in Desmos. And we will work on that in a different video. All right, thank you for watching, and feel free to subscribe.